Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Julius Nairi, CBPM UNIA-ACL, Division 421, Atlanta, Georgia. Today is November 27th, 2022. Before we get started on our meeting, we're going to start with the pledge to the red, black, and green. If you could, or if you do have a flag, you can face it. If not, then just picture one in your mind. Please repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit
I commit my
body, mind, and spirit
to the protection, defense, and security
to the protection, defense,
and
and
security
of the red, black, and green.
of the red, black, and
green.
I dedicate my life
I dedicate my
life
to the redemption of Mother Africa
to the redemption of Mother
Africa
and the liberation of us scattered Black children.
and the liberation of us scattered Black children.
Black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants
I accept for myself and my descendants
the teachings of universal African nationalism
the teachings of universal African nationalism,
and promise that our children will be instilled
and I promise that our children will be instilled
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves
with the purpose and knowledge of themselves
as African people,
as African people,
in order that the cause of our struggle
in order that
our struggle
will neither falter nor fail
will neither falter
nor fail
until all Black people are free and united
until all Black people are united
through one God,
through one God,
one aim,
one aim,
and one destiny.
and one destiny.
Race first.
Race first.
Okay. Let me do our guidelines. The meeting is broken into two halves. The first half, we focus on the topic related to the organization. The second half, we do member share. During member share, everyone will have 3 to 4 minutes to share on a topic of their choice. Please be considerate of the time and don't go over. You can do presentations if you have something that takes longer that you want to share. I don't think there's any more dates open for presentations for the year. So it would have to be next year if you're thinking about doing one. Have a pen and paper available to take notes. There will be people on this call with different ideas and opinions and religion than of your own. It's okay to disagree, but let's not become disrespectful. Ladies, do not give out your personal number during the conference call. Give out a business number or email, and do not use the N-word during the call. And I wanted to add one that we also need to be mindful of how we handle each other on the call. I think that everyone on here, I think that we all grown up. So where if you feel like someone has offended you in any way, that we can say, you know what, you offended me. And you know what I'm saying, you should be able to offer an apology. Like we should be able to talk to each other and correct ourselves when we're wrong, whenever we're being offensive. I wanted to talk about that like a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't come to the call. But I just think that that's something that we just need to be mindful of, is how we handle each other. So if I ever handle you in a way that you feel like I didn't handle you like you know, like you're grown up or you grown or whatever, then don't be afraid to speak up. Because if I'm wrong, I'm definitely gonna apologize when I'm wrong. But I'm passing it.
Thank you, First Lady, Vice President, Sister Tia.
All right.
So before we get started, I'm gonna do a roll call now, and I'll probably do a roll call later as well, but don't, just work with me. On the call tonight, we have myself, Brother John, member number 306. We have member number 172, Dr. Shams. We have our First Lady, Vice President, member 177, Sister Tania. first lady vice president. We have our first male vice president, member number 390, Omasius. And we have, and the last one on the Zoom is member number 449, Brother Art, in Annandale, Virginia. And then on the conference line, we have CBPM member 2714, Brother Omar Mukhtar. And we have member number 165 and 284. Member number 165 is our Legal Defense Committee Coordinator, Attorney Imhotep, and 284 is his wife, Sister Aziza. So we have 7 on the call right now. So, okay, I guess I go straight into the subject then, right? Okay. So tonight's subject, we got some more people coming in on the Zoom, on the conference line. Let me try to find this in the Philosophies and Opinions book for those that would like to read along. It's in volume 2. I think it's in volume 2.
Greetings, family.
Greetings. Where is it at? It's in volume 2. I know it's volume 2. Jackson movement, etc. Rights, the world message. Had it earlier. I didn't mark the page. Should have. Bear with me. Looking for an essay called Principles of the UNIA in Philosophy and Opinions. I believe it's in volume 2. You only replace words and objects. Movement. We believe. Speech on the Principles of the UNIA, page 93 in the Philosophies and Opinions text. But this speech was delivered at Liberty Hall, New York City, on November 25th, 1922. We read this speech last year, but due to the timing, where the speech was given in the past and where we are now, I think this is a perfect topic for us for our 4th week in November. So we are officially 100 years and 2 days past the time when Marcus Garvey originally gave this speech. So without any further ado, I'll open the floor. Brother Omasius will be reading for us this evening. Brother Omasius, are you there?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well, you want to read I'll read the top part, then I'll bring it down and let you go ahead. 1922, Marcus Garvey, The Principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Brother Omasius, it's on you.
In this speech given in New York City on November 25th, 1922, Marcus Garvey explains the objectives of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. The organization he believed would lead the worldwide movement toward Black liberation. Over 5 years ago, the Universal Negro Improvement Association place itself before the world as the movement through which the new and rising Negro would give expression of his feelings. The association adopts an attitude not of hostility to other races and people of the world, but an attitude of self-respect, manhood rights on behalf of 400 million Negroes of the world. We represent peace, harmony, love, human sympathy, human rights, and human justice. And that is why we fight so much. Wheresoever human rights are denied to any group, wheresoever justice is denied to any group, there the UNIA finds a cause. And at this time, among all the peoples of the world, the group that suffers most from injustice, the group that is denied most of those rights that belong to all humanity, is the Black group of 400 million. Because of that injustice, because of that denial of our rights, we go forth under the leadership of the one who is always on the side of right to fight the common cause of humanity, to fight as we fought in the Revolutionary War, as we fought in the Civil War, as we fought in the Spanish-American War, and as we fought in the war between 1914 and 1918 on the battle plains of France and of Flanders. As we fought on the heights of Mesopotamia, even so, under the leadership of the UNIA, we are marshaling the 400 million Negroes of the world to fight for the emancipation of the race and of the redemption of the country of our fathers. We represent a new line of thought among Negroes. Whether you call it advanced thought or reactionary thought, I do not care. If it is reactionary for people to seek independence in government, then we are reactionary. If it is advanced thought for people to seek liberty and freedom, then we represent the advanced school of thought among the Negroes of this country. We of the UNIA believe that what is good for the other folks is good for us. If government is something that is worthwhile, if government is something that is appreciable and helpful and protective to others, then we also want to experiment in government. We do not mean a government that will make us citizens without rights or subjects with no consideration. We mean a kind of government that will place our race in control, even as other races are in control of their own governments. This does not suggest anything that is unreasonable. It was unreasonable for George Washington, the great hero and father of the country, to have fought for the freedom of America, giving to this great republic and this great democracy. It was not unreasonable for the liberals of France to have fought against the anarchy to give to the world French democracy and French republicanism. It was no unrighteous cause that led Tolstoy to sound the call of liberty in Russia, which has ended in giving to the world the social democracy of Russia, an experiment that would probably prove to be a boon and a blessing to mankind. If it was to an unrighteous cause that led Washington to fight for the independence of this country and the liberals of France to establish a republic, it is therefore not an unrighteous cause for the UNIA to lead 400 million Negroes all over the world to fight the liberation of our country. Therefore, the UNIA is not advocating the cause of church building because we have sufficiently large number of churches among us to minister to the spiritual needs of the people. And we not going to compete with those who are engaged in so splendid a work. We are not engaged in building any new social institutions, YMCA or YWCA, because there are enough social workers engaged in those praiseworthy efforts. We are not engaged in politics because we have enough local politicians, Democrats, socialists, Soviets, etc. And the political situation is well taken care of. We are not engaged in domestic politics in church building or in social uplift work, but we are engaged in nation building. I desire to remove this misunderstanding that has been created in the minds of millions of people throughout the world in their relationship to the organization. The Universal Negro Improvement Association stands for the bigger brotherhood. The Universal Negro Improvement Association stands for human rights, not only for Negroes, but for all races. The Universal Negro Improvement Association believes in the rights of not only the Black race, but the white race, the yellow race, and the brown race. The Universal Negro Improvement Association believes that the white man has as much right to be considered. The yellow man has as much right to be considered. The brown man has as much right to be considered, as well as the Black man of Africa. In view of that fact, that the Black man of Africa has contributed as much to the world as the white man of Europe and the brown man and the brown man and yellow man of Asia, we of the Universal Negro Improvement Association demand that the white, yellow, and brown races give to the black man his place in the civilization of the world. We ask for nothing more than the rights of 400 million Negroes. We are not seeking, as I said before, to destroy or disrupt the society or the government of other races, but we are determined that 400 million of us shall unite ourselves to free our motherland from the grasp of the invader. We of the Universal Negro Improvement Association are determined to unite 400 million Negroes for their own industrial, political, social, and religious emancipation. We of the Universal Negro Improvement Association are determined to unite the 400 million Negroes of the world to give expression to their own feelings. We are determined to unite the 400 million Negroes of the world for the purpose of building a civilization of their own. And in that effort, we desire to bring together the 15 million of the United States and the 180 million in Asia, the West Indies, and Central and South America, and the 200 million in Africa. We are looking toward political freedom on the continent of Africa, the land of our fathers. The difference between Universal Negro Improvement Association and the other movements of this country and probably the world is that the Universal Negro Improvement Association seeks independence of government, while the other organizations seek to make the Negro a secondary part of existing governments. We differ from the organizations in America because they seek to subordinate the Negro as a secondary consideration in a great civilization, knowing that in America, the Negro will never reach his highest ambitions, knowing that the Negro in America will never get his constitutional rights. All those other organizations which are fostering the the improvement of Negroes in the British Empire know that the Negro in the British Empire will never reach the heights of his constitutional rights. What do I mean by constitutional rights in America? The black man is to reach the heights of his ambitions in the country of, if the black man is to get all of his constitutional rights in America, then the black man should have the same chance in the nation as any other man to become president of the nation or a street cleaner in New York. If black man in the British Empire is to have all his constitutional rights, it means that the Negro in the British Empire should have at least the same right to become premier of Great Britain as he has to become street cleaner in the city of London. Are they prepared to give us such political equality? You and I can live in the United States of America for 100 more years, and our generations may live for 200 years or for 5,000 more years. And so long as there is a black and white population, when the majority is on the side of white race, you and I will never get political justice or get political equality in this country. Then why should a black man with rising ambition, after preparing himself in every possible way to give expression to the highest ambition, allow himself to be kept down by racial prejudice within a country? If I am as educated as the next man, if I am as prepared as the next man, if I have passed through best schools and colleges and universities as the other fellow, why should I not have a fair chance to compete with the other fellow for the biggest position in the nation? I have feelings, I have blood, I have senses like the other fellow, I have ambition, I have hope. Why should he, because of some racial prejudice, keep me down? And why should I concede to him the right to rise above me and to establish himself as my permanent master? That is where the UNIA differs from other organizations. I refuse to stultify my ambition, and every true Negro refuses to stultify his ambition to suit anyone. And therefore, the UNIA decides if America is not big enough for two presidents, if England is not big enough for two kings, then we are not going to quarrel over the matter. We will leave one president in America. We will leave one king in England. We will leave one president in France, and we will have one president in Africa. Hence, the Universal Negro Improvement Association does not seek to interfere with the social and political systems of France. But by the arrangement of things today, UNIA refuses to recognize any political or social system in Africa except that which we are about to establish for ourselves. We are not preaching a propaganda of hate against anybody. We love the white man. We love all humanity because we feel that we cannot live without the other. The white man is as necessary to the existence of the Negro as the Negro is as necessary to his existence. There is a common relationship that we cannot escape. Africa has certain things that Europe wants, and Europe has certain things that Africa wants. And if a fair and square deal must bring white and black with each other, it is possible for us to escape. Africa has oil, diamonds, copper, gold, and rubber, and all the minerals that Europe wants. And there must be some kind of relationship between Africa and Europe for a fair exchange. So we cannot afford to hate anybody. The question often asked is, what does it require to redeem a race and free a country? If it takes manpower, if it takes scientific intelligence, if it takes education of any kind, or if it takes blood, then the 400 million Negroes of the world have it. If we have been liberal minded enough to give our lives blood in France, Mesopotamia, and elsewhere, fighting for the white man, whom we have always assisted, surely we have not forgotten to fight for ourselves. And when the time comes that the world will again give Africa an opportunity for freedom, surely 400 million black men will march out on the battle plains of Africa under the colors of the red, the black, and the green. We shall march out, yes, as Black American citizens, as Black British subjects, as Black French citizens, as Black Italians, or as Black Spaniards, but we shall march out with greater loyalty, the loyalty of a race. We shall march out in answer to the cry of our fathers who cry out to us for the redemption of our own country, our motherland, Africa. We shall march out, not forgetting the blessings of America. We shall march out, not forgetting the blessings of civilization. We shall march out with a history of peace before and behind us, and surely that history shall be our breastplate. For how can man fight better than knowing that the cause for which he fights is righteous? How can man fight more glorious than by knowing that behind him is a history of slavery, a history of bloody carnage and massacre inflicted upon a race because of its inability to protect itself and fight? Shall we not fight for the glorious opportunity of protection and forevermore establishing ourselves as a mighty race and nation, nevermore to be disrespected by men? Glorious shall be the battle when the time comes to fight for our people and our race. We should say that the millions who are in Africa to hold the fort, for we are coming, 400 million strong.
Thank you, Brother Omasius. That completes the reading of the speech titled Principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, delivered November 25th, 1922. I'll open the floor at this time for any questions or comments on what we just read. Is that you, Brother Sean?
Yes, sir, it is.
Go ahead, Brother Sean.
And the question is, this is the Constitution?
No, this is just a speech that Garvey gave this time 100 years ago. Mm-hmm.
This is another panel. What's going on with the motherland? So my question is that when like the speech given, when is it gonna be like I would say like kind of like updated? Because basically what I'm getting at when I heard the thought about trying to get along with other people, we over the course of time since that speech was given in the 1920s to now, we don't have no friends. We just don't have no friends here in America. So I mean, somebody that's like, let's say somebody new coming into the UNIA. Like I said, we are more and as a people think that we can move forward. But we beat the dead horse right now. We don't we can't love it.
Understand, but why did Garvey stress the importance of those relationships?
I believe that Mr. Garvey, you have to, you at that time felt that, being connected.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Brother Sean, hold on, brother.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
Wait.
you have to connect with people.
For what,
that's why I felt that was at that time.
for what reasons do we have to be connected to other people and other races?
People and move forward at the same time, and look where we at.
Yes, I understand. Majority of the speech was not about connecting with other people, though. And I'll read that paragraph again, the one that you're referring to, because Garvey was stressing a common relationship that we cannot escape. That was one of the phrases in that paragraph. He says,
Brother John.
Yes.
You want me to wait for my comment? Because I wanted to comment on it.
Yeah, let me. I think
okay.
Brother Macias has something as well. Let me just read this paragraph. I'll let Brother Sean respond, and then we'll bring in Brother Macias and then Sister Tania. Garvey says, we are not preaching a propaganda of hate against anybody. And one other thing that we got to remember, and that's why I love Philosophies and Opinions so much, but this is a speech that was given in the public. So sometimes we have to be diplomatic about the words that we use. Not Philosophies and Opinions, but Course of African Philosophy has a different tone of Garvey, because that was Garvey later in his life. And he was able to write from what he considered a confidential conclave, but he didn't have to worry about how people would respond to the things that he's saying. But keep in mind the diplomatic aspect. He says, we are not preaching a propaganda of hate against anybody. We love the white man. We love all humanity because we feel that we cannot live without the other. The white man is as necessary to the existence of the Negro as the Negro is as necessary to his existence. There is a common relationship that we cannot escape. Africa has certain things that Europe wants, and Europe has certain things that Africa wants. And if a fair and square deal must bring white and black with each other, it is impossible for us to escape it. Africa has oil, diamonds, copper, gold, and rubber, and all the minerals that Europe wants, and there must be some kind of relationship between Africa and Europe for a fair exchange, so we cannot afford to hate anybody. But Garvey's point is, once we do get organized, we will still need to have relationships with other races so that we can trade amongst those races. We will have things that they want, and they will have things that we want. So in order to ensure a fair exchange, we must maintain these relationships. That was what Garvey was saying.
You know what I'm saying? The other brother, one person, one vote.
All right, thank you, Brother Sean. Brother Omasis.
Can Sister Tania go first?
Sister Tania, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what you just said, because I know you had asked a question, like, why would Garvey say that? And I was just saying, he was just thinking on a bigger level, not really expecting that we would be in this position here 100 years later, that we would kick all of the world powers out of Africa, and then we would have to conduct ourselves as a nation, conduct themselves, which means you do deal with other people. You don't just trade within yourself, because we would, if we was in Africa right now, we would still need to make trades outside to, you know what I'm saying, to become a superpower, if that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
To not get blown off the face of the earth.
Yes.
All right.
So I did have something else, but it was not necessarily on the topic of relationships. So, Brother Sean, I'll come back to you, see if there's anything that you wanted to add.
Well, I do right quick. Okay, now it was stated that Europe, Africa got things that Europe won't.
Yes.
For resources.
Yes.
We know that everything that the whole world out of mind. That's understood. Okay, now if Africa does everything that the whole world needs, what do Europe have that we need? As of right now, anybody, what do Europe have that we need as a country?
Do any of us have any rocket technology? Do we own any rocket technology, any spaceship technology? We don't own none of that. We need to be able to, like I said, they good with war. We need their war stuff. All of their war technology, so we don't be defenseless. That's where my mind going. Because at this point, I don't see Africa. I see things being took out of Africa, but I don't see no defenses. I'm trying not to say the words.
Well, hold on. Yeah, let me
weapons against mass destruction.
No, let me
protect ourselves.
Let me simplify it, Sister Tania. Well, when I just did a quick search of Europe exports, it says that Europe produces a significant portion of the world's steel and iron ore. So those would be two things right off the bat that we would want to trade with Europe. You know, even though we do still have steel and iron in Africa, and that's the thing about global economy. When you start to look at supply and demand, the abundance of resources in certain areas, that decreases the value. So if we have, 50 million tons of steel where we are, but Europe has 100 million tons of steel where they are, we would be able to purchase it at a lower cost from a person that, or a nation that has a larger quantity. Because for them, I mean, that's just global economy. Like, they have no need for that much iron and steel. So the best thing that they can do is try to profit off of it. And it's the same thing for us in Africa. Gold, diamonds, copper, at a certain point, we have enough to sustain ourselves, and we would want to establish trades with other nations. That would be my response.
I would like to respond to it as well.
1 second, Brother Mason. Go ahead, Brother Sean. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's because we being oppressed, we being dumbed down. All our lives, we were told that for segregation, you really start. You know who wanted integration? White people wanted integration because black kids was coming up with stuff that white kids. So when we got integrated into their school, we got stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We got stupid. We are smart. The cell phone right now. Who do you think invented the cell phone? Who do you think invented the internet? They didn't do this. We didn't do this. We did that. They come out of Africa. ask the question, do Europe have that we need? Not a damn thing. We've been dumbed down, and we think that we need these people.
So,
we gave the world education.
so brother Sean, let me just get straight to it. So you're saying that in the end, long-term goal, all Africans, well, not all, but Africa would be a superpower unto itself, and it wouldn't need to trade or do trades with any other nations.
Saying like this, that we were here to show the world, the rest of the world, live.
Yes, sir. But okay. Okay. But you still, but in order for us to work together, there has to be a relationship, correct?
Right, correct. So we got to get together first. We can't keep carrying that. We are like a dog, and we got a bunch of ticks on our back. We are supporting the world. But we want to include everybody in our struggle. Everybody is not in our struggle. The Indians, the Native Americans got their own struggle. I said the last week when Sister Stacey Abrams,
Yes.
when she tried to include the American Indians into the reparations, and I forgot the sister of the American Indian part, I said it that way. She told Sister Abrams that get yourself together. We got treaties with the United States. But somebody had to tell us to get ourselves together. We got our and we study trying to talk to other people. We can't do it no more. It's just impossible. Get us together, then throw the rope back. Once we get on top of the wall, then we can throw the rope back down and pull somebody else up. You can't pull somebody else up while we still trying to climb. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying hate nobody because we love black and we all about being black. And we don't hate nobody. It takes muscles in your face to make a smile, 72 to make a frown. That sounds like work. You don't have time to be hating on nobody.
Mm-hmm. May I respond? May I respond, Brother Sean? I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you focused in on one paragraph in the entire speech. If I could read another paragraph, it may, when you talked about a different line of thinking. This paragraph says, we represent a new line, and again, this is 100 years ago. Garvey said this, we represent a new line of thought among Negroes. Whether you call it advanced thought or reactionary thought, I do not care. If it is reactionary for people to seek independence in government, then we are reactionary. If it is advanced thought for people to seek liberty and freedom, then we represent the advanced school of thought among Negroes of this country. We of the UNIA believe that what is good for the other folks is good for us. If government is something that is worthwhile, if government is something that is appreciable and helpful and protective to others, then we also want to experiment in government. We do not mean a government that will make us citizens without rights or subjects with no consideration. We mean a kind of government that will place our race in control, even as other races are in control of their own government. So the essay, or it's titled "The Principles of the UNIA," and it's talking about, it focused on a new line of thought of governance. That was some of the original statements. And then later on, Garvey with his forethought pictured, once we do have everything that we need, we will still need to have relationships with other races. And that's what that second paragraph that we just discussed was talking about. So it is a comprehensive view. It's not just, one thing, focusing on one thing.
Yes, sir.
So one thing that I wanted to touch on,
Can I respond on it before you go to the next topic?
Brother Macias, go ahead.
One as a global economist myself, I consider a lot about our relations with other countries. One of the things that I feel like as a nation that Garvey focused on a lot was our mindset. When the brother said earlier that we don't have any friends, immediately my mind said that we don't have any enemies either. And I feel like that's the thought process that Garvey wants us to have. And when I look at the course on African philosophy, and he talks about our relationship to God, all right. So I feel like Garvey wants us to have a confidence level that no pressure from our ops, no oppression can ever feel like it could come against us. For us to get to a point where we're so self-reliant that we are able to stand amongst anyone as our own government and be able to trade as men. And for me, the greatest thing that is important for global government is the fact that this whole world belongs to us. And Africa is our motherland, but when as he talks about our connection to the Creator, I understand that this whole earth belongs to us, and our people will want to travel the earth. And for me, as a legionnaire, as a mental standpoint, I think about if all Black people migrated to Africa and we forced all the white people out, how dangerous that would be. Because with all of us in one place, a gastric bomb could annihilate the whole humanity of us. And that same thought process, if we put ourselves in an economic bubble as well, then we could be casted out, you know. And so as a diplomatic point, as a security point in my mind, and as a point of who we are, and the dominion that we have to have on this planet that I think Garvey's trying to instill in us, we have to see ourselves as if nothing is against us. And all we have to do is our own selves can be against us by not organizing, by not building those industries that we got to do, and by not building this government up to where we need to be. And nothing can stop us from if we do those things. So that's how I feel about it.
Excellent point, Brother Macias. Any questions, comments? Anyone?
Ladies first.
Dr. Shams?
Yes. What about peace and harmony instead of war and bloodshed? What about industry versus trade wars and stuff? If we can develop relationships, the negative it will be counteracted by the positive. There will be less negative. And that was one of Marcus Garvey's strong points. Also, I believe it was in another speech, he spoke about the oppression of man would result in catastrophe, destruction, and so forth. The oppression of man. And that includes all races on the planet combined. We need peace and harmony instead of war and bloodshed. We need industry instead of trade wars and what have you. You know, we need these things to be established among all people on the planet for the survival of the entire human race. Peace and race first.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shams. And with that, let me reread the first paragraph. I think this is the first paragraph. Second paragraph. And this is the principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. We represent peace, harmony, love, human sympathy, human rights, and human justice. And that is why we fight so much. Wheresoever human rights are denied to any group, wheresoever justice is denied to any group, there the UNIA finds a cause. And at this time, among all the peoples of the world, the group that suffers the most from injustice, the group that is denied most of those rights that belongs to all humanity, is the Black group of 400 million. Because of that injustice, because of that denial of our rights, we go forth under the leadership of the one who is always on the side of right to fight the common cause of humanity. to fight as we fought in the Revolutionary War, as we fought the Civil War, as we fought in the Spanish-American War, as we fought in the war between 1914 and 1918 on the battle plains of France and of Flanders, as we fought on the heights of Mesopotamia. Even so, under the leadership of the UNIA, we are marshaling the 400 million Negroes of the world to fight for the emancipation of the race and the redemption of the country of our fathers. So I don't know if that brings any context to it, but you know, things that haven't changed much as far as our principles. One thing that caught my attention was this 100. We don't consider, I don't know many people that consider Garvey a prophet, but in essence, this was a prophetic speech. He says, specifically, you can live in the United States of America for 100 more years. In our so we're at that point, and our generations may live for 205,000. And so long as there is a Black and white population, when the majority is on the side of the white race, you and I will never get political justice or get political equality in this country. So that was a prophetic statement. It was just something that I caught in the reading. But did anybody else have anything on principles of the UNIA?
I just want to say I like when he said, you know, if they don't want to change, basically, you know, we won't even give it a matter. I think he said we will leave that king, we will leave that president.
Oh yeah.
So his focus on the fact that we have the ability to build our own, and we ain't got to worry about changing nobody else, disrupting nobody else. He talked about that a whole lot. How that attitude of trying to even change them is not even necessary, in my opinion, for what I got from what I read.
Yeah. But yeah, I refuse to stultify my ambitions. That means halt your ambitions. And every true Negro refuses to stultify his ambition to suit anyone. And therefore, the UNIA decides if America is not big enough for two presidents, and we got to understand what that means. Basically, Garvey is saying once we organize our people as a body, we will have forms of leadership. And America, you know, and this is one of the straightforward things about other organizations outside of the UNIA that seek, as Garvey said, to have a secondary position in the United States rather than having a government of their own. But he says if America is not big enough for two presidents, so we have a president, President General Michael R. Duncan, but America is not going to change its policy to have an American, you know, a president for, you know, everyone else, and then a president for Black people. England is not going to change its policy so that we have a king for Black people. So Garvey is saying it's up to us to organize ourselves and organize the continent so that we can have a president of the entire continent of Africa, and that president can represent us, you know, in diplomatic relations. But we're not here to compete with anybody. We're just here to do our own thing. And that's all we really want, is to be able to do our own thing. And we know that if we are given that freedom, we will succeed. The difference between the Universal Negro Improvement Association and other movements of this country, and probably the world, is that the Universal Negro Improvement Association seeks independence of government, while the other organizations seek to make the Negro a secondary part of existing governments. So that's one of the big things about the UNIA: self-reliance and self-governance. We have a flag, we have a pledge to our flag, we have our own constitution. We are maintaining, I was going to say establishing, but Garvey already established it, but we're maintaining our own government. We differ from the organizations in America because they seek to subordinate the Negro as a secondary consideration in the great civilization, knowing that in America, the Negro will never reach his highest ambition. knowing that the Negro in America will never get his constitutional rights. All those organizations which are fostering the improvement of Negroes in the British Empire know that the Negro in the British Empire will never reach the height of his constitutional rights. So when I look at this and I read this and I think of the demographics of the United States, it's partially due to our numbers. I believe we're like 14% of the population, but in that aspect, we will never, have a political majority. And if we will never have a political majority, we're always going to be the secondary citizens. We will always be tied to whatever decisions the majority population makes. So Garvey doesn't teach us to be secondary citizens in someone else's government. He teaches us to build our own. Any other questions, comments on the principles of the Universal Negro Improvement Association? And one other thing, just for me, I think I did the math on this. Speech was given in New York, November 25th, 1922. If I did the math correct, Garvey was only 35 years old at the time that he put this together. That's, I'm past that age now, but that's just mind-blowing for me, that this man had this level of intellect and forethought at that age. So, but that was just something I wanted to put out there. If there aren't any questions or comments, we can move to our next portion. I had a couple things that I wanted to share from as far as schedules and things, some upcoming events, and then we'll go into member share. So I know Garvey said, let me go back to that because political. Therefore, the UNIA is not advocating the cause of church building because we have sufficiently large number of churches among us to minister to the spiritual needs of the people. We are not going to compete with those who are engaged in so splendid a work. We are not engaged in building any new social institutions, YMCA or YWCA, because there are enough social workers engaged in those praiseworthy efforts. We are not engaged in politics because we have enough local politicians, Democrats, Socialists, Soviets, you can add Republicans in there as well, etc. And the political situation is well taken care of. We are not engaged in domestic politics, in church building, or in social uplift work, but we are engaged in nation building. So I know we're not, quote unquote, engaged in politics, but I did want to share just something for individuals to be aware of in Georgia. The runoff election for Senate is underway right now. It's a very tight race between Raphael Warnock for Democrat, Herschel Walker for Republican. The official day of voting is Tuesday, December 6th, but early voting is taking place right now. So just a reminder for everyone that can participate to make sure you vote. Any questions, comments on the Senate election? Okay, let me see. Nothing on, that's crazy. I feel like people always have something to say when it comes to politics and elections, but all right, so that is the Georgia Senate election. Oh man, I didn't send this thing to myself. I gotta send myself a text. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's meant to destroy.
Hmm.
Any truth to that?
I looked it up. There is truth to it. From what I understand, well, as far as where he is, most of the time, I can't speak on that, but I do know that based on the reports in the news, Herschel Walker claimed Texas as his primary residence for the past 2 years. And that seems to be a contradiction in the process, but I don't know how true it is, because it doesn't seem like he would be qualified to serve in that role if he's not a resident of the state. But the fact that they've gone this far and they're still doing voting and things, I don't know. But yeah, I did see that as well. It kind of raised my eyebrows, like, but like I said, I figure that these people that do these elections and candidate proposals, they should know, they know, what they're doing, and well, not what they're doing, but they should know the rules, basically. So I really don't know what to say about it. But I did see it. Anybody else see that?
Raise first.
Raise first, Dr. Shams.
Yes, I saw it. I don't remember exactly where, but I did remember actually reading somewhere where Herschel Walker. Oh, I remember where it was. It was on Facebook, because I'm always on Facebook trying to help Brother Reverend Warnock move ahead. But Herschel Walker was stated in the same Facebook text that I read that he had a living residence in Texas, yet he wants to be a senator in Georgia. And that was not fair. It didn't sound right.
Yes.
Peace race first.
Yes, I agree. It don't sound right, but the fact that he's gone this far in the process and no one, they haven't just pulled him from the election. I don't know, I don't know, but I have heard it. But I just wanted to remind everyone to go out and vote before we lose that chance. Second thing that I had is, let's see. We got an invitation from brothers in the Nation of Islam, Brother Gerald X. We've talked about this over the years, but our attempt to build relationships, specifically amongst our own people first. So the Moorish Science Temple, Nation of Islam, the UNIA, we're all working together here in Atlanta. There are a couple other groups that come and go over time. The Nuwapians, they kind of fell off a little bit. New Era, Atlanta, they had a change in leadership, so we got to see what's going on there and make sure they stay engaged. But the UNIA, Moorish Science Temple, and the Nation of Islam. Nation of Islam is hosting their 6th annual Unity Banquet. But it'll be December 10th, 2022 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a dinner. So it's $45 a plate. Let's see, upgrade. Yeah, $45 for a vegetarian dinner or a fish dinner. But I'll probably be there. Yeah, and I just wanted to give everyone else a heads up here in Atlanta as far as what's going on, and yeah, some calendar updates. So December 12th, we'll be at a banquet with the Moorish Science Temple and Nation of Islam, continuing to work on our unity here in Atlanta. Beyond that, we are looking at a Kwanzaa event on the 27th of November. Kujichagulia, Tuesday, 27th of November, last week of December. Most likely it will be at Omanala Griot Afrocentric Museum. We're still working on the time and everything for that, but we'll have more updates in December. But those are two events that we've got coming up in December. Reminder for everyone to get their Black Government ID. Attorney Emotep, I got to resend yours with the right address, but I'll do that this week. And everyone else, please update your Black Government IDs. Tuesdays, we will be at the Omanala Griot. So we have been there. Let me see, we go to November. We've been there every Tuesday in November, Omanala Griot. We will be there the 29th of this month, and we will be continuing that relationship into December. For those that aren't aware, Omanala Griot is a excellent location. Let me put it that way. I was gonna say pretty good location, but Atlanta, it's got a perimeter, 285. It's like a circle that goes around. 75, 85 go down the middle. And then 75, 85 go north-south down the middle of the city. And then 20 goes east-west through the middle of the city. So it's almost like it's kind of like a bullseye. The facility that we're in is very close to downtown. It's technically still in the southwest portion of the city, which is predominantly Black, but it's close to downtown, and it's a very, very good location. It's close to the schools, Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark. So this is something that we want to try to continue going into next year. But at least for next month, we will be at this facility every Tuesday in the evenings doing our Liberty Hall. So just want to invite everyone out for that. Officer appointments. Let me see what this is about. 1 second. So the UNIA parent body is taking applications. Headquarters. Could have sworn she sent it to me. I can't find it now. Arrangements. I may have to re-request it. Combined plan. But if anyone was interested in positions on the High Executive Council, so Auditor General, Chaplain General, we have a Surgeon General. I think those are the two open positions. Our division chaplain, Chaplain Mitchell, was interested in serving as the Chaplain General. So I don't know if I sent it to him, but I was going to go over that today, just show what the application looks like and share that with anybody that wish to apply for one of those positions. Division 421 is in a pretty good place right now. Brother Omasius is the commissioner for District 2. I believe I'm going to be named the commissioner for District 5. So that's South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Our division colonel, head of our African Legion, has been promoted to the general of District 5. So we've got a general, we've got 2 district commissioners, and we may have chaplain general all coming out of Division 421, which would give us, I would feel pretty good about that, because that would give us some political power when it comes to voting and making directions on how the government should move. So that's all that I really had. Last thing that I wanted to share is just when I look at our schedule, our calendar is we put a lot of stuff on there, but this is one of my favorite quotes from Denzel Washington. He says, working really hard is what successful people do. But just because you are doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. So we have to make sure we are intentional. We have priorities, and we have basically a plan of execution, so that we're not just running around doing things, but we're running around getting things done. And with that, that's all I've got. Any questions, comments on anything that I shared before we move to member share? Okay. Okay. So member share, I wanted to, if anybody has seen their city council and how they operate things, and watched a city council meeting, one of the things that they do, or at least here in Atlanta.
You have to go to the store. I ain't getting no whole lot. I ain't gonna stand up there that way.
Sister Mary, yeah. One of the things that they do is, you're all right, Sister Mary, if you could mute your line. I'm getting ready to open up the lines. One of the things they do is, when we do like attendance, that's why I want to do attendance again or roll call again. But in member share, I'm going to start from our officers, hear from them, and then we'll hear from other members on the call. So with that, I will open, let me see. I believe our Lady President, Mama Mina, is absent. Third Vice President, Brother Cornelius, is absent. Second Vice President, Brother Kenwardo, wasn't able to make it today. Baba James, are you on the call? I don't think Baba James is here, or Brother James, or Brother Andrew, or Chaplain Mitchell. So I need to, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but we do have to get to the point where we can hold each other accountable. If we are saying we want to be in a position of leadership, we want to be on the executive body, we want to, drive the government here in Atlanta, then we need to be attending these meetings, and we need to be answering the questions of the people, and we need to be able to hold ourselves accountable. So we record these calls. I post them on social media, but from an accountability standpoint, I want our membership to know who's here and who's not here. So with that, let me open it up to our officers. Ladies first, Sister Tania, First Lady Vice President, did you have anything that you wanted to share?
No, nothing I can think of now. If I do, I'll come back.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us. Next, I will go to our first male vice president, Brother Macias.
All right. Greetings, family. Race first. Just wanted to give a few updates. We are preparing for High Executive Council in April as well, and I will be helping out with that committee. So we'll be starting to meet here in December for that, Of course, we're going to talk about it on our executive call, but I just want the membership body to know if anybody wanted to participate in that planning process, please let us know. You can raise your hand if you want to with the thing. We definitely want anybody who wants to be involved in that planning process to feel free to join us and help us out. Planning could be looking for venue sponsors, helping us come up with ideas what to do, things of that nature. I also have an opportunity to serve on the Economic Development Committee with the Minister of Labor and Industries, and I'm excited with the work that we're doing right now to bring back the African Communities League. Many, not sure if everyone knows that UNIA and the ACL are two entities in one. But the UNIA was the part for the membership, and the ACL, Garvey used that vehicle to invest in the different businesses that we have. So with us getting that back incorporated, focus on that right now. Our Minister of Labor and Industries right now is meeting with lawyers, international lawyers, and figuring out how to get that set up, and so that we can be able to create an economic base for our people. As we read today, it's our duty to be able to govern ourselves, and that government starts with us being able to be self-reliant, to be able to feed ourselves in every way. So every bank is built off a reserve, and the African Communities League is for us to be able to create a reserve so that we can bank on ourselves and bank on each other, and be able to give fuel to the different ideas and industries that we're trying to be able to, that we're going to be able to build and serve our people. So I'm excited about that. In addition, we are raising money for our international headquarters in Philadelphia right now. That's the only building that we own right now in the UNIA. So we are raising funds for that as well. So if any members would like to donate to that, to the restoration of that building, we have been meeting every Saturday, getting the plans together on exactly how the building is going to be utilized for the people, so that we could give that to the architect, and they can get started on the building. That goal is for us to just, it's our Black House, you know. We have to have our international headquarters strong so that it could be a beacon of light for what we're doing for our people. So that's one of our focuses, UNIA, and that's all I have at this time. I'm happy to serve, and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Brother Mason's excellent report. Two great reminders. One, High Executive Council in April. Yeah, we will be discussing that at December's executive meeting. Go down here. And we need to have some plans in place, because by the 7th, when we have our president's call, the other divisions will need to know at least lodging. We know the facility that we're going to be in, but we got to look up some hotels in the area. So I need to be able to provide the rest of the divisions with hotel accommodations for that time frame. So that'll be a big topic at our December executive meeting. And then you touched on, what was the other one? Was it and then our international headquarters. Yes, we're definitely doing a fundraiser for our international headquarters. You know, when we think about government for Black people in the United States, the UNIA is the only one that I'm aware of, and this building is the only building that I'm aware of. So if we want to maintain our goals of self-reliance and self-governance, we need to maintain this building. And for those that aren't aware, it's actually two buildings. They're huge, 3 stories and 2 basements, like a sub basement and then another basement, but huge buildings, a lot of potential. It's on the campus. I want to say it's on the campus or near the campus of Temple University. So there's a lot of foot traffic, especially with young people. So a lot of potential. And when we talk about, trying to get our young people involved, this would be a great monument to help us with that achievement. The building has a historic marker in front of it, but that helps as well. But at the end of the day, we need to get the building back to its full potential, because right now it's just a shadow of its former self, and it looks like looks like a historic building, but we want it to look like a modern building by the time we're finished. Thank you, Brother Macy. It's excellent comments and points. Any questions, comments to what Brother Macy said? Okay. I will jump over to our Legal Defense Committee Coordinator, Attorney Imhotep. Greetings, Attorney Imhotep.
Greetings, Africans.
Greetings.
Briefly, I saw Attorney Crump, the civil rights lawyer. I believe he may have his main office in Florida, but he's practicing all over the country, and he has taken on a suit here that may turn into a class action suit, where Black women here in this country have been using these chemical hair relaxers. And yes, and they have developed now pelvic cancer. Yeah, and these relaxers, he argues that, so they're detrimental health-wise, and they're going to bring potentially a class action suit. And so our Black African women in this country, hopefully will stop using those chemical relaxers here. And he was arguing, Crump, that our women are doing these hair relaxers in part based upon what the European considers as beauty.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's some other aspects here with regards to our sisters, women, African women trying to get a job. Okay, that it is a requirement that you got to have your hair relaxed straight, what have you, as opposed to coming in there with your own natural hair here. That's not a good way to get a job if you want a job. But I think it's important here that these chemical companies are going to be basically put out of business if African women stop purchasing these products, and other races purchase them too, but not as much as we do. Yeah. So that came to mind, and I hope our sisters stop using these products and get back to their own beautiful natural hair, where they are looking as the African queens that they are. Thank you. Race first.
Thanks first. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep. Any questions for Attorney Imhotep? Okay. Thank you, Attorney Imhotep, for that update. I want to jump over to our treasurer, President Ross Marvin. Greetings, President Ross Marvin. How you doing?
Doing well, President John. Greetings, family.
Greetings.
I don't have anything to share right now, just listening in. So I'll make sure I stay up to date what's happening.
Thank you. Thank you, President Ross. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, and yes, well, since we were talking, since we brought in the treasurer, and I'll retouch on this at our December executive meeting, but I will be asking our executives for an additional contribution if possible. So our agreement with the GRIO is $200 a month. And I feel that if all of the executives contributed $20, that would get us where we need to be. But just a heads up to our executives, I may be asking, well, I most likely will be asking all of our executives for a $20 contribution to support the Omanala GRIO for December. But beyond that, yeah. Okay, any questions, comments for our treasurer? Okay, I think that is all besides myself. I already kind of had a whole couple slides, so I don't think I need to say anything else. I want to jump over to our other sister that we have, CBPM member 3094 in Suffolk, Virginia, Sister Mary. Sister Mary, you there?
Yes, greetings.
Greetings.
I pray all of that as well. I really have anything to add. Enjoyed the presentation, and other than that, it's of great concern to me about what's going on, even here locally, which I'm sure probably y'all have heard about the issue with the student at the Walmart in Chesapeake and those who lost their lives, and the shooter who looked like us. So it was unfortunate, that it happened. Like us. So, and I just, I hope everybody stay safe and stay prayed up, and for me, my position is due to the root of where the youth are most vulnerable in our public schools, because they're not being allowed to, give them the opportunity to be educated on their ancestors' history. I think one of the difference in this world of how youth, play out, with, understanding who they are, their identity, and being able to themselves and recognizing that they are great, empowered, and powerful, and from right, the thing is to love each other. So my position is getting immersed in ongoing emerging within the public schools, and making sure that the 1619 project is not abolished, and there is a curriculum that will be implemented, and this not here locally, but for every public school in every state, because there is a concerted effort to take over the how in the education and curriculum, controlling the curriculum in public schools, so that when children are not taught about that ancestral history. And there's uncritical race theory, which is not racism, but understanding the significance of our youth being taught about our people, ancestors, and those who are still thriving, the significant contributions that they have made to American history and building this country. So that we don't have time to, justification by design of us killing each other, we took crack out of our communities, and systematically guys are not children's hands. And so while their minds are still developing, even at the age of 18, 20, 24, 25, the minds still are developing. So with that, thank you for listening, and race first.
Race first, thank you. Sister Mary, any questions, comments for Sister Mary? Well, one thing, we can't solve all problems we're not, let me see, let me make sure I say this right. Division 421 can't solve all problems for all areas, but we can establish, as a UNIA, we can establish divisions anywhere there are at least 7 African people. And where I'm going with this is, there were 2 things that Sister Mary brought up that we try to address here locally. One was defense. Even if it's defense from our own people, we should have a defense force, or at least some level of discussions on what we should be doing in certain situations, and a chain of command, so to speak. So first Friday of every month, and on the 2nd of December, we will continue our African Legion meetings. And I encourage, all of us, that is our defense force for the UNIA. When we talk about having a defense force for our people in our different communities, through the UNIA, it would be through the African Legion. And the second one she mentioned was education. And again, we can, because our officers training that we're doing right now is virtual. So no matter where you are, officers of the UNIA are allowed to participate in this course. But this is for officers, it's for adults. We do need to develop youth education programs. And that's why our brother James, who is an author, he's wrote 2 books. Let me see, I'll pull them up. Teach Me About Garvey and for one of his books is Teach Me About Garvey by James Wilson Jr. I didn't know he was a junior. Come on now, that's all I got. Okay. And the other is Red, Black, and Green. Tell Me What It Means, I believe. Red, Black, and Green. Tell Me What It Means. Yes. So Brother James is our local youth coordinator. And we're trying to work with him to establish some youth education programs, some things that we can do after school at the Omen Alegrio if possible. But we all, if we consider ourselves Garveyites, and that's one of the beautiful things about Garvey, that's why I love him so much. Like he, his famous quote, "Where's the black man's government?" Where's his kings and queens, his army, his navy, his women of high affairs? Could not find them, so he declared that he would make them. But in essence, Garvey teaches us that we must know what we need for our people in our communities. And if we don't see these things in our communities for our people, then we should establish these things. So that's what we're trying to do. But thank you, Sister Mary. Next person I will bring in. Well, let me see. Oh yeah, Brother Art, you've been on the line for quite a while. So UNIA member 449, Brother Art. Greetings, Brother Art.
Greetings. I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the ID cards, what do they cost and where do we send in the cash? To Cashapp, or is there another way?
Cashapp is good. It's $20 for your first ID, $10 for renewal.
Okay. Is a CBM ID the same?
No, those are two separate IDs.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
All right.
Thank you. Race first.
Thank you, Brother Art. Yes. Okay. Next. Okay, next brother I want to bring in, UNIA member 172, Dr. Shams. Greetings, Dr. Shams.
Race first.
First, Dr. Shams.
Yes, I'm glad I heard a little bit about critical race theory tonight, which is also on my website. But the thing is that, you know, the so-called U.S. government is allowing, from what I know so far, they are allowing the Jews to keep their Holocaust history, which causes the Jews to be united in a powerful group, you know, facing any challenges that they might face outside of going through another Holocaust. And the reason why they are so strong and powerful the way they are is because they have unified behind their history. If we give up our critical race theory history, no matter how bad or good it was, if we give up our history, we will be in a weakened state. And just about anybody, any culture, any race, anybody could just walk all over us. You know, that's what we're trying to get away from. We're trying to get away from being weak and become strong national society for our people. But we need our history to stay in place. You know, my website is located on the internet at Not Helpful USA Legislations People.brainsites.com. That's Not Helpful USA Legislations People.brainsites.com. It's also in the chat. I posted it in the chat as well. Peace and race first.
Yes, sir. Race first. Thank you, Dr. Sham. Yes, history, Garvey teaches us, is one of the most important things that we must study. And, you know, critical race theory, I'm not going to get into I don't even know the full details of it, but I agree with what Dr. Shams is saying in regards to how other cultures are unified behind their history. And this critical race theory could be an aid for us as melanated people here in this land to be unified with our history. So I understand what you're saying, Dr. Shams, and that's a good point. Any questions, comments for Dr. Shams? All right. I think that is everyone on the Zoom. Pretty sure it's on the Zoom. We jump over to our conference line, and we will call on CPM member 2714, Brother Omar Mukhtar. Brother Omar, you there? Brother Omar? Well, let me jump over Brother Sean. You and I remember 400. Greetings, Brother Sean. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. Greetings to the family. I would just like to say that I'm still pondering on that essay from earlier, because I drive semis and I'm all over the country.
Yes, sir.
And I see what's going on firsthand. These people are gathering for war. And when I hear those that I am associated with continue to want to hold up cardboard signs and thinking that if you get your brains knocked out, that this man gonna feel sorry for you. It makes me want to cry. Had a brother one day, he said, "What is your purpose here on life? I mean, on earth?" Going back to just the little bit that I know. My purpose in life on this planet is to smooth the path for those that are coming behind me. That's the way I look at Mr. Garvey. That's the way I look at Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Able to do what we're doing right now. They gave a life in order for us to do what we're doing. Yeah, true enough, our phone calls are being monitored. But what I'm saying is this right here is that when we look at how America got its independence through bloodshed, every other country that is independent got its independence through bloodshed. Why we think that our situation is going to be different? I haven't figured that one out yet. Why we think that our situation is going to be any different? I just found out the other day that Muammar Gaddafi truly was killed because he took his country's money, invested with some other African nations, and they bought their own satellites. So they didn't have to go through the Europeans and pay them a fee. He was separating. He wanted to stand on his own. It cost him his life. It cost him his son's life. But when you look at Libya, they don't have enough people over in Libya. Whatever the country makes, put this into its citizens. The nation over there is free. And if you want to go to another country and be educated, further your education, Libya pay for it. So ain't that kind of like when you look at the Europeans, the American greed, as Michael Douglas said in Wall Street, greed is good. So what I'm saying is just here to those that are listening to me, I'm seriously, when you, if you are a grandparent and children, it's not about us, it's about our kids and grandkids. We got to smooth the path. We fight the same fight that our great grandparents are fighting.
Yes, sir.
How is this possible? Just trying to figure this out. How is it that we think that this person, if I get my brain knocked out, now I'm on the side of the road dead, that this person gonna feel sorry for me and he gonna change his way? Did you not know? Look at the 1920s when they were shooting us, hanging us. Look up the word picnic. They was cutting our genitals off, saving them. We are dealing with a savage. Now, I'm not saying all of them are savages, but it's not enough of them to put up a fight. And it's not enough of them that's going to risk whatever they got to say, hey, that the rest of his people is wrong. Just the other day, a little boy was killed in front of a Family Dollar that Mr. Trump is filing a lawsuit against that police. The police, they shot that little boy because some stood up and the boy was unarmed. The man walked up to him right behind him, shot him in the head, killed him. So if you really think that you are an American, go back and look at the Constitution. Those that wrote it, 14 or 16 were Freemasons, and 20 of them out of the 56 were slaveholders. So I ask the question again. Are you an American because you was born here? If somebody got anything to add to that I don't understand, please let me know, because I'm looking at the Constitution and this is what these people are operating off of. And we're getting killed left and right, and we study going to hold up cardboard signs thinking that a leopard is about to change his life.
Mm-hmm.
Race first.
Race first, Brother Sean. Couple things. I mean, you said a lot. One thing I'll touch on, we got to be careful about how we discuss these things. But when you talk about, you mentioned about bloodshed, I don't, I never said that that's not required. I do think that it is required, but one thing that I've said in the past, and I still agree with, and it's been reinforced by our President General, there will be a civil war first, or an internal war amongst Black people. So before we do anything to others, we first got to come together amongst ourselves and find out who's really with us and who's not. And there will be some bloodshed in that process. But and in regards to being an American, that's a nationality thing. The way I understand it, wherever you're born, individuals born in that land are considered citizens of that land, and they are supposed to have the rights of citizenship associated with that. We don't necessarily, we don't have the rights. We don't feel that we have rights as full citizens here in America. But I do know that Garvey said in the Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World, he said that basically we will have dual citizenship. Your claim to the UNIA does not infringe upon any claim of any other nation that we currently are attached to. So I understand your point on rights, and when we compare our rights to whites, they're not equal. But technically, we are still American citizens, and I know that there's still a lot of our people that fight and die for that. And yeah, I mean, even when you look at the essay that Garvey gave, he even said, we go to war for this land. We go to war for these people. We die, and we do shed blood for these people. But the question is, when will we start to shed blood for our own people and for our own government and our own nation? So, anybody have any comments for Brother Sean?
Race first.
Dr. Shams, race first.
I see where Brother Sean is coming from as far as the Moorish American sense, because one of the websites I used to have as a main focus was cbpm.org/Shams Moorish American. It's still there too. But what I wanted to say is that Noble Drew Ali stated in one of his lessons, I don't know if it's the Hadith, the 101, 102 teachers or what it was, but he did. Noble Drew Ali stated that by being born here in America does not necessarily make you a citizen. You're a citizen of the nation you choose according to your human rights and indigenous rights as well. You choose what nation you're a citizen of, not no government. That's a personal decision according to human rights, indigenous laws, and other things that I have associated with that I have read and studied and researched on. You know, it's on my website too. Not helpful USA/people.bracesites.com. But I understand where Brother Troy is coming from, and he has a valid point. Please erase first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Anybody else having questions, comments for Brother Sean?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Brother Sean, in his travels, has he seen any training sites that are for our people?
Well, you know, I haven't seen no training sites, you know, for our people. I just see them on the internet, you know. They got I'm from Indiana. They're about to build a new surveillance center.
Okay, you're breaking up. I can barely hear you. But I got your picture. Thank you.
Brother Sean, I did have one question in regards to Louisiana, though. I heard, I've been in the news and politics recently. What is this thing about? I heard there was like a vote for this. Yeah, basically, slavery is still on in the Constitution of Louisiana due to like prisoners. It's like a prison form of slavery or something.
Well, the whole thing. But they say that, you know, you got to look at, we was never free. If you look up on the word emancipate, we was never free. Like I've been saying for the longest, we just heard the wrong within boundaries of this country. So they don't have to take care of us. But the vote where they wanted to say that, you know, if you could well, instead of Louisiana, I get time and that's over. If y'all go on YouTube, look it's on 15,000 acres of land. Right now, today, it always has. It's still a form of slavery. When you go, the man call your name, you give your DOC number and walk out and stand in line. You go to the field. You got a gun guard in front of you. You got a gun guard behind you. And the line might be by two, but 200 people deep by two. So when you go to the field, you're still a slave, working. That's how they do it. And they not gonna get rid of Angola.
Yeah, Angola.
I would just, yeah, I would tell all of those that are listening to my voice, we need to do some fact checking about a lot of things. We, we are, as a people, spiritually, mentally, physically,
Yes.
May 1st.
Race first. Thank you, Brother Sean. Any questions, comments for Brother Sean before we move to our last member?
Peace, family.
Brother Omar?
Yeah, I'm back, brother. I might have stepped over me. I don't know where you got it.
Yeah, I was coming back to you, Brother Omar.
Well, I can go before me.
Let me look. I don't know if we got anybody else. Let me see. Yeah, Brother Omar, you are our last member.
To the family, it's always a pleasure to talk to the family. Yeah, thanks for listening. I was able to listen a little bit as what was going on. I hear a lot of things talking about the military, and there's a lot going on that we may not see. But that's how I always said, prepare for war in the time of peace, prepare for peace in the time of war.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we don't want to entertain that question, we are living right now. If you go to Ezekiel 27 and 10, it will tell you about the people who were put in bondage for 400 years, that there would be the God brains in the valley that will stand up for the exceedingly great army. So what you saying, brother? I'm saying, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, you can't stop prophecy. If God had commissioned you to war against this beast, to get your freedom for 400 years, what do you think gonna happen? You think you just gonna sit? You think the military ain't gonna raise up? You're already seeing the military raise up. You're seeing it raise up in the Panther Party, the militia group. Our brother standing up for our brother, we urban. They fear the future of prophecy. It's only if we believe in it. So some of us who don't believe in prophecy, we don't see anything. So where these people come from? Well, did you see it in the Torah? Did you see it in the Quran? So we have to catch up. Because we're not keeping up with prophecy. Ezekiel talking about UFOs and UFOs. That's prophecy being fulfilled. One, which is us. And all these prophecies is getting us closer and closer to the fulfillment. So whether we think that we have to fight or not, go back and see what the prophecy says you're going to do.
Yes, sir.
You may not want it. You may not want this fulfillment to come place because you ain't ready for the fulfillment. But believe it or not, that's the only way we can get free. The prophecies have to be fulfilled. The prophecies are being fulfilled. Signs and wonders. One being the signs of the season where the snow. We live in the prophecy. Just keeps up with it. What are we doing now? What's going on here now? What's being fulfilled today? Malcolm X said something. He said, he was going to form rifle club. Now, Malcolm would love what was going on today. We have over 160 black rifle clubs. Prophecy being fulfilled. So what is that? I'm sure the man knows what's good. He knows what enemy is, so he's preparing for our enemies. For those who choose to be our enemy. That's something we have choice over. Back in when the nation was coming up, they sent people in the nation and shot unarmed brothers. Just open up in a mosque. These are the people that we're supposed to reason with. These are the people who are going to say, can we all get along? You have to bear all of the gun. No, brothers and sisters, we have to understand. There's more going on than what we think. And we're moving out of some faster place to the end. We're in the first quarter. The game is almost over. Where would you be standing at the time when the game is over? Our brother Kyrie, they make it mockery. They were where he at? He's talking about the Jews. Well, we know when you do. Anybody who understands basic biblical information, you know that Jesus for came out of the Jews. Ain't no people in the time for Jews, so Jesus can do it. We have to understand, it's right there in the book. I read the book once in a while. Some people read it every time. But what it is that they don't think that they're in the prophecy. And the book is not talking about it. And we don't want to harm it. When we start harming, we know what they talk the truth. It's another prophecy being fulfilled. There's the fact that he said on the news will be a picture at the YouTube. And he made an announcement in the press. To the press. His brother. We know that brothers are Jews too. And the Bible says the Greek speaking Jews and the Hebrew speaking Jews. One spoke Greek, one spoke Hebrew. So it's not that these brothers are doing anything wrong. It's just the identity that has been taking place for over 6,000 years. Is what we're trying to catch up with. We're trying to catch up with the fact that they have stolen our heritage. They have stolen our nationality. They don't gave us a substitute nationality. And they trying to perpetrate as a perpetrating Jew. That's why they so-called Jew. You're not the original Jew. They know they're not the original Jew. And you get the real Jew. Who's the real Jew? Not the fake Jew, not the Zionist over there in Israel. I only set up the state of Israel so they continue to maintain economic strength and dominance in the region. We're always it's coming out of the Gaza Strip. All the oil and resources are what it's all about. It's not about justice. So we have to start to look at our spiritual life. Yes, we're going to have to fight. But as you understand, we don't have to fight the same way. Anytime a nation rises and falls, four things that take place. You have to either win it spiritually, politically, economically, or militarily. Those are the foundations of any nation. And if you don't have any of those foundations, you can never stand as a nation. So even when you fight, those things are going to start to come. You see the politics and the politics falling out, the political. You see the spiritual, the morality is at a low. You see the military refused to join that. The money, America is no longer going to be the dominant currency. So that's always say, prepare for war in a time of peace, prepare for peace in a time of war. Peace, family.
Thank you, Brother Omar. Excellent points. Any questions or comments for Brother Omar? Okay. Yes, we have a lot to do, brothers and sisters. We are approaching the end of 2022, going into 2023. This is a time for reflection where we should look back at the progress we made collectively this year, and how we want to do things differently next year. And we should be planning and discussing for that now. So just keep that in mind. I don't have anything else. Anyone have any closing comments before we close out the meeting? Okay.
Raise first.
Raise first, Dr. Shams.
Yeah, just a note. Since we have a government and we're building an organization, I just wanted to let you know that is perfectly legal according to the U.S. Constitution itself. In Amendments 1, with the right to have grievance of the government. With Amendment 9, certain laws left up to the people. With Amendment 10, certain laws left up to the people. And with Amendment number 11, that's 1, 9, 10, and 11. 11 says that you have your jurisdiction according to where you have your nationality, basically. That's 1, 9, 10, and 11. The U.S. Constitution, they give you the right to be able to set up your own government if you disagree with the U.S., but they don't enforce it. They play Dred Scott with us and our people. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. U.S. Constitution's Amendments 1. What'd you say? I got 11. What were the amendments, Dr. Shams?
1, 9, 10, and 11. 1, 9, 10, and 11.
Thank you, Dr. Shams. Amendments 1, 9, 10, and 11. Any other comments before we move to close?
Yeah. Brother John, one more second, too.
Go ahead, Brother Omar.
Okay, yeah, but I just want to shout out our political prisoners. A lot of time we forget because some of us get to sit on the sideline, but some of us get to be on the front line. So the thing is that, of course, we want to shout out Grandmaster Jay. For him, they gave me 7 years. They did it to the UNC News. They did 3 times on him 3 different times. Every time they found something to it. So we should be used to this. We shouldn't really be used to it. We should understand this is the way they get it. And of course, when I'm sitting out on the table, we have the enemy, he said they don't even know they own people. Even when people put it on the line. We already knew the brother was what he did. But he insists to stand for the people. And countless others. It's enough to see what we're going to do. Who's going to state in the death penalty? We still have a website up where you can go and donate to the brother. You can go to Grandmaster addresses for DMJ. And you can also go to donate money to these brothers. And so don't let these people fool you. They're telling him he's no longer leader of the NFAC. That's false. That's false. They don't want to see any leaders being consistent and stable. Another one. That's what they want to say. That's not true. He's still the commander of the NFAC, supreme commander. So we have to understand that the media have to do this because they have to weaken the weak ones among us. But they should be strengthening the strong ones among us because we know how they play these games. So now we're working on Brother Ola on case we won't get the death penalty because they violated his constitutional rights. Understand, this is the real thing going on. And Ramsey units, they won't even have that in the country. And know we were looking at it at the fairy tale where we don't really have to physically participate. And we don't really got these drones watching everybody. And they're more modern now than they ever been. They sit right behind the desk and monitor activity. They have a bill that's coming up that Biden signed, Executive Order 140-66, which is a bill to change the currency, the digital currency. So they can force everybody into a digital currency. So now they can control your paycheck to make you bow down. You gotta watch these devils. At least somebody gotta be watching. I know they devils, so I watch them. You know, I'm the watch every move they make. You know what I'm saying? You have to keep aware of what they're doing. Now they're trying to continue to push this vaccine to kill our people. And now it's coming out because I walk sometime in the middle of the field to see what happens. These people are dying behind this stuff. They can't tell you that. When Bill Gates said he was wanting to depopulate and kill so many millions, that's what they're doing. They have the power to do it. We don't. But just another comment on our bill. It's still on the front line and still there, and they're going to continue. So the military continues. The dry bones in the valley. Jeremiah 37:10. Look it up. Peace to the family.
Thank you, Brother Omar. But yes.
Race first.
Race first, Sister Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add for my brothers and sisters to check out. There is a pending law decision before the Supreme Court in Louisiana, and defining the definition of who is Black. So I would encourage y'all to check, to please check that out. Also, there was one other thing I wanted to share. There is a American Black Journal by Dr. Ron, Theron D. Williams, on the Bible is Black History. So I encourage y'all to check that out as well. And also to participate in, which I'm sure, those who are on the call who are parents are, but to be more engaged in our PTAs, and seeing what's going on in our local school board meetings, and maybe encouraging, because the Republicans are talking about abolishing school books out of public schools altogether. And it's a political action committee, I think I mentioned it before, called the 1776 Project, which are Republicans that are raising millions of dollars to control local public schools and the money and the education curriculum in every state. Race first.
Race first. Thank you for the update, Sister Mary. We will be looking into those items. Brother Sean? Yes, go ahead.
Sister Mary talked, and I made me think about something there. When you mentioned earlier, 16, 19, what we were first grade, but there is 54 years of hidden knowledge that only the people that's in the lodge know this, and maybe some of them don't know it. But they did not take slaves out of Africa. That's the first thing. They kidnapped us and brought us here, and it took 54 years to beat that knowledge out of us. They made slaves here, or they made slaves somewhere else and then brought them here. We was not slaves. Because when you go back and do the history of our people, Timbuktu, everybody came to Africa to get an education. That's number one. So, like we were saying earlier, what do we need from Europe if they came to us to get an education? You know, we used to pick cotton. Now we off the cotton. It's about economics. And we're studying being dumbed down through their system, not our system, their system. If we gave the world education, then why do we need to go through their system? When we took our first breath to live, everything that we needed to survive on this planet was already given to us. It's in our DNA. This is why they are trying to get our organs, want to scratch their melanin in our skin. So that's what we are. And if those that think that when we look at them, that there is some entity way out yonder somewhere that created all of us, hey, I don't want to be around you. The basis of that's prayer over prayer. Hey. We just don't know it. And I will end my statement with this right here. Remember in Roots, when Kunta Kinte, in the very beginning, when Kunta Kinte was chasing that, I forgot what you call that bird, to prove that he was a man, and he hid in the bushes, and he ran back to all the improvement camp, and said, you know, so bad. We already had knowledge that they was on the planet. Those that are in the lodge, they know this. Those that are in college and took on that sorority and fraternity to become Greek. Understand? I ain't never seen a black Greek yet. But we go to these colleges and sororities and let these people trick us to become Greek. You know about going across the burning sand? Where did that come from? It came from all the white people who were grounded up. Create 250 miles. They was marched into Africa. Into Europe. So there was a thing that we had to separate from them. When all of you understand that, he was not joking. That's the only way that we gonna get some peace and get our independence. We have to get away from these people. Because it happened before. Race first.
Thank you, Brother Sean. Excellent comments. Did anyone else want to make any comments before we close?
Race first.
Dr. Shams?
Yes. Noble Drew Ali also said, get a good European education. This way you could be useful to him. And he also said that those without education, without knowledge, are bound to be enslaved by what they don't know. Because they're not educated, they don't know, they're unconscious. They don't know, they can't understand the reality of what's going on around them. But those who are educated are useful to the cause because we know, we are conscious. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. And Garvey had a similar sentiment. But basically, we should have a dual education is the way he says it. We should not be content with the education of white people's systems, but we should still be aware of what's going on in their systems. But he says we should supplement that education with an Afrocentric education. And the example that he used was the Jewish community. But he said here in the United States, Jews go through the same education as us when it comes to public school, private school, charter school, things like that. But they get a additional education from their Jewish community. And we should be doing the same thing with our people, going through these European systems or schools and understanding how they do things. But we should be supplementing that with an Afrocentric education provided by our own people so that we know both sides. But in closing, we have to understand who we are and where we are in time. The melanated man here in the borders of America, we are the most educated of our people. We are the wealthiest of our people, and we are the most well-armed of our people throughout all the world. So we have a responsibility with these gifts and characteristics to set an example. But if we can't do it with all of our knowledge, all of our resources, and all of our defense capabilities, how can we expect, other nations to do it? So I think that's what Garvey saw. That was part of what Garvey saw in us here in the United States. And that's part of the reason why he chose United States to be, his base of operations at that time. But if not us, then who? So with that, if there aren't any closing comments.
I have one closing comment, Brother John. One. And that is we need to do more propaganda, more advertisement, which is propaganda, and more reaching out to the people. I think I sent you some information on that as well. Different avenues and outlets and advertisements, ways we could become more public, more well-known and stuff. I think I sent you some information right there in an email or a text or something. Yeah. Peace and race first.
Yes, sir. Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. And I'm sure you have, but that's why I went back to our executive council. We can't expect one person to do everything. We have a promotions coordinator that is responsible for our propaganda and promotion. That individual is not here today. If other individuals would like to help us with promotion and propaganda, I do invite you to be a part of the executive council. So I understand what you're saying. You are correct. But as Ross Marvin taught me a long time ago, the work outnumbers the workers. So what we need to do is more than the people that we have to do it. But yeah, Brother James, who is not here today, is responsible for our promotions and propaganda. Any other closing comments?
Great, sir.
Brother Sean?
But John, what you said about the ID card?
Yes, sir.
It's trying to renew them?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Well, I'm specifically talking about the UNIA. I'm specifically talking about the UNIA, and you should have a expiration date on your ID. So I'm not saying that everyone's expired, but I'm just promoting everyone to keep their IDs up to date.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Sean. Great question. Any other closing comments? All right. With that, we will close out our meeting for this evening, November 27th, 2022. And if everyone would please come off mute, repeat after me. One God.
One God,
God.
Oh God.
One aim.
one aim,
Amen.
One destiny.
one destiny.
Destiny.
Africa.
Africa.
Africa,
Africa.
For the Africans.
for the Africans,
The Africans.
Those at home.
those at home,
At home.
And those abroad.
and those
Those
abroad.
abroad.
By the way, we are in a mix of Africa right now. The whole planet is Africa to us. We are in the part known as a mix of Africa or America right now. Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Race first.
All right. Go in peace, family. We will get back together December 11th will be our next meeting. So go in peace.
Race first.
Race first, family.
Right.